Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our first session for today. We will explore in this session the critical changes and opportunities presented by a rapidly evolving digital and AI-driven landscape. We will discuss how organizations can accelerate their digital transformation efforts, as well as the operational and underwriting risks associated with fintech innovations. Additionally, we will examine the technological changes shaping new insurance business models and delve into the pressing issues of cyber risks and the associated underwriting activities. Join us as we navigate these vital topics that are redefining the future of the insurance industry. Moderating this session is Mr. Haytham Tahir, Deputy Chairman and Managing Director, MetLife Egypt. Joining him as speakers this morning, Mr. Mohamed Owais, Ansari, CEO, Munich Re, MENA region.
Moving very diversified panel. I'm proud of such panel. So without reinsurance, we cannot do anything because we will have a big exposure. And I'll seize the opportunity that we have the CEO of Munich Re, of course, very well known. No need to introduce to any insurer Munich very well. So Mr. Ansari, I know that it will be a very high level question, but I'm sure that he will give us everything. AI, different products, different systems, different risks, different assessment. So from a reinsurance perspective, what's the collaboration between insurer and the reinsurer in such an AI world?
Assalamu alaikum, good morning everyone. Good to be here, glad to be here, and thanks for for the organizers to arrange such a great event. Not only allowing people to have the collaboration, but having a meeting on the sideline. Coming to the question that you mentioned, I think if you take a step back, if you look at the global digital transformation market space, you're looking at, is anticipated to be 3.8 trillion by 2030. That's staggering numbers. However, insurance as a business and industry has always lagged behind the other sectors. We have other sectors which have moved much faster on the adoption rate. Insurance was a bit late. Even in the financial sector, banking was much faster than the insurance. Having said that, as we heard from my fellow panelists, there is a greater appreciation of what technology and AI brings to the table, and that you can see is being implemented into the overall business plans and the strategic view of the companies, both at the insurance and the reinsurance level. I think if you want to see the impact of AI and digital transformation, you have to look at it from three different categories. So there are technologies that can disrupt the overall insurance industry. There's technologies which can impact the business model that is currently in play in the insurance sector. Thirdly, technology solutions which enhance the value chain and the internal and external processes that are around insurance business. And if you see the entire value chain, I think normally most of the development that has happened between these three categories has been the last category. Despite the fact that there are a few examples like Lemonade, which tried to disrupt the insurance business model as such, and I think quite successful in that as well. But I think most of the investments and projects have been started in the last category, which is enhancing the value chain and the processes. And if you look at from end to end, you start with the risk assessment as well as underwriting. And the implementation of technology and AI enables both the insurer as well as the reinsurer to have much quicker responses and more accurate responses. In addition to that, if you move on to the next stage of the customer value chain, which is the portfolio management, that also becomes faster with the big data and deep data analysis that companies are able to do now. Then you have the fraud prevention, and with the large models that the AI can cater to, you're able to have live detection of fraud and prevention of it as well. Lastly, I think we are in a business where we don't produce tangible goods. Our promise is what matters, and the promise is to pay claims. And this is where I think using technology and AI, we are able to have real fast turnaround time on claim payment. And that is what adds a lot of value to the end customer, as well as the primary level, the companies are able to take the customer satisfaction at a higher level. If you look at the adoption, I think from an adoption perspective, even different geographies have different take-up rates. For instance, Chinese companies have an adoption rate of around 58% of technology and AI, while in the US it's still at 25%. Middle East is growing fast, driven more by the countries like UAE, Saudi Arabia, but the hockey stick growth which you can see in the Middle Eastern market. If you look at the overall, I think, benefits of AI, you can see, I think my fellow panelist, Hani, had referred to them. I think the main aim really is to make the customer experience better, improve efficiency, and eventually lead into financial gains from that. You have the cost reduction that happens, you have better enhanced value from the data and credibility of the data which brings to digitalization. What is also important is how fast the communication can be between the end client, the primary companies, and the reinsurer. Reinsurers have always had the luxury of having a lot of data. Now that data using technology is being able to translate into tools and services that are passed on to the primary and to the end customer. I'll give you an example of a next-gen AI solution, underwriting solution that Muinch has launched in the Asia Pacific market, which is yielding amazing results over there. That's more on the life and health side. Similarly, on the non-life side, we have a realytics solution, which is again an AI-based solution, which allows primary companies to have access to a real-time AI-enabled underwriting solution. So there are enough use cases that can be cited. I think, as you mentioned, there are challenges as well. And I think what we see in the media is always talk about redundancies that AI and technology will bring. But I think it's difficult to replace the cognitive element that humans bring. There is talk about the AGI, which is the artificial general intelligence, but I think which is also referred to as a strong AI. But I think that will take some time before it actually is in operation and has use cases. But in the meantime, we have challenges of we have to have the economic value that has the cost and benefit, the time and resources that are required. You need to also see the governance element. I think the governance element. We also heard in the compliance presentation that there is a 9.6 billion fine, but in the recent EU AI Act, if you see, you can have a fine at the entity level up to 35 million euros for 7% of the global turnover. These are huge numbers for any organization. So while there is ample value to be generated, there are a number of initiatives both at the reinsurance level which are being permeated down to the level of primary and eventually at the end customer.
Thank you so much. I think the thing that's just a question because the auto underwriting thing, personally, in our company, of course, it was very, very good investment. But this is machine learning or AI, the one in the Asia Pacific?
So I think that's a very good question because I've seen, and I think in a lot of conferences and discussions and panels, I've seen a lot of simple digitalization being quoted as AI. And there's a clear distinction between AI and digitalization. I think the automation of the underwriting processes, I think a lot of the companies have now achieved that in globally actually. There's been a standardization around the KPIs and the data that is required. The AI-enabled underwriting, that is a step further. And I think that basically brings together, luckily, I think if you've been in business for more than 140 years, you have a lot of data. And that's what I think we are able to bring to the table, that you use the past data for machine learning and then using algorithms are able to forecast and the outcome both at the underwriting level and at the claim level. And this forecasting is quite accurate. So what we are seeing is our AI tools at the moment, when we look at the Asia Pacific solution, they are in the high 90s, the outcome. So it's not that we are experiencing a big challenge on how the AI outcomes are. Using AI, the outcomes are quite similar to what it would be without AI. The value is the time and the accuracy and less involvement of human in that process.